a lot of interest in CTV. Really curious your perspective, the perspective of the agency about some of these big successes you've had with CTV, some of the verticals, some of the KPIs that your clients want, and at the same time, some of the challenges to implementing those campaigns.
Yeah, so part of the positioning that our agency has taken since its founding was to be the forefront and as innovative as possible with new marketing technology. So we actually engaged in the CTV space, 5, 6 years ago when it was more nascent and had some really good success at that point. And so it's been really fun to follow and ride that wave as we've now come to 2020 when it's really become so central to operation. Where we found success most especially is when we've been able to successfully implement it in behalf of one of our clients, a campaign where they're very confident in the measurability and the outcomes. We service clients, typically mid-consideration, and so television is on the cusp. Video for sure is always on plan, but television broadly is something that it takes a big leap, and from time to time, kind of a leap of faith that it's going to deliver. We're going to have enough scale to be able to recognize some results. We've seen some really, really great successes when we're heavily confident that we have our audience targeting. We're able to get to our audience and target them effectively with a clear message. And then we have a KPI that our client is comfortable has a marked impact on the business outcome that they desire, where we've been able to set up metrics to specifically tie ad exposure to some sort of online action, and ultimately in a couple of cases actually to cart and conversion. Those have been tremendous successes.
So how do you reach scale, and how does scale need to be addressed when considering a CTV buy?
Yeah, so for us, it's a tricky question. The fragmentation of the market obviously has a pretty significant impact, and for us, there's been a level of education responsible to help the client understand some of the trade-offs and complexity. So our focus has been, let's find the means through which to transact and the inventory that gives us the best balance between the appropriate measurability and scale of audience. It takes on a lot of different, for us, it takes on a lot of different fields. It's very client specific. We've shied away from explicitly deploying broad national targeting because in a lot of cases we're just not entirely confident that we're going to get the desired outcomes. So we've really been focusing in as precise areas as we possibly can, so that we're confident that we're able to deliver results, and then grow from there to the extent possible. We're also doing as much kind of layering as we can, as it's appropriate to the client instance, so that where we're confident that we're getting appropriate incrementality, it's something that we feel confident in conveying to the client. That adds a whole slew of complications on the measurement side, but it's a tactic that we've taken for sure.
All right, let me ask you about buying, and this is, as a follow-up, do you buy programmatically? Do you buy this inventory directly? Not to get too deep in the weeds, but what's the mix, and what's your view about working with the demand side?
Yeah, it's evolved. For this calendar year, the vast majority of our inventory has been transacted directly. We've been doing programmatic where it's applicable, but we feel far more confident that we're delivering the type of inventory in the audience when we're able to engage directly, with the demand, with the sell side. And so that's been it's a point of conversation, and principally it just has to do with ensuring that in a space that's rapidly growing, that the inventory that we're buying in behalf of our client is of quality. And ultimately, because we place so much weight in this type of tactic on on some sort of outcome, that we're confident at the front end that that's going to be something that we can stand behind.
So, Ira, speaking of inventory, what do you look for in inventory? Is there available inventory? What are there issues around inventory that you're excited about, that you're concerned about? Let's talk a little about inventory quality.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited that the marketplace is maturing as quickly as possible, and that there's been such an increase, obviously, in viewership and engagement with CTV inventories. It's been a little tight as we get through some of the political windows, depending on the market that we're focusing on. So there have been for us, just because of the way that retail calendars shifted along more in direct alignment with the political windows. It's just been, we haven't been able to do exactly what we have wanted to do, but that's very situational. Largely for a period of time, the reason that we were holding back on CTV as a core to our recommendations was because we didn't love the quality of the inventory, especially the places where frequency was such an issue, and there were pretty significant concerns around around fraud. I feel as though you know from engaging directly with the providers in this space that there is a lot of focus on improving quality in line with client and agency interest in the platforms, and so we're feeling that, and then obviously able to convey that level of confidence with our clients, and that's translating into pretty sizable year-on-year increase in their willingness to buy CTV, OTT types of inventory.
And just as a follow-up, what kind of inventory are you guys buying in CTV? Is it sort of the availability on local cable stations or AVOD platforms, or can you give kind of a little bit of a flavor of the inventory that you're buying?
Yeah, sure thing. So it runs a gamut. If you just look at it from a volume perspective, we do a significant amount of business with Amazon. We do a significant amount of business with the Simplified platform, and we're primarily there buying AVOD. For two of our clients, we're buying at the local cable level, and then we have a big one in planning right now that is all local cable across the country. There's a portion of our business that was not terribly active in 2020, which is entertainment and tourism, where we were doing a lot more at the individual cable, DMA and Zip and household level from an addressable standpoint. But that part of our business obviously just hasn't been as active in 2020. That said, very active in planning now for ideally a post-pandemic opportunity to bring some of those things back to the world.